Yo, good morning. Welcome to the Stokastic.com NFL Strategy Show Showdown Edition. I'm going to tell you something right now, and I may eat my words, and you can say, Loughy, you're a dummy. Wouldn't be the first time I've heard it. This is my favorite showdown slate of the year. I love these stupid spreads, these 11.5, 12.5 spots. I love it where it could be Josh Allen and the pass catchers dominate through the air, or the run game goes nuts and James Cook and Ray Davis are both optimal along with the Bills defense. Or maybe in some alternate universe, it's possible the Dolphins actually compete. And nobody wants to go with Dolphins onslaughts. I can't say I'd recommend it, but there are so many different ways that we can play this one. I'm Dave Loughran. That is Chris Spags joining me as he does every Thursday morning. What's good, brother?
Excited to be here. I don't know that I share your enthusiasm for this slate. I feel like maybe coming off Miami having one good showing against the secondary that doesn't look particularly good, maybe that gives you some hope here. But I just think Miami is a bad team. I think we kind of saw the false flag a little bit last week in a soft matchup. I think Buffalo's a lot better. But one thing that I will say here, there should be touchdowns on at least one side because Buffalo, 31 implied points, highest implied total of the year so far, and about as high as we've had the last couple seasons that I can recall offhand.
Oh, yeah. I think you may have misunderstood what I was saying. I'm not confident that Mike McDaniel boards the flight home. This is like, I could see this being an outright disaster. And the spread would suggest that that's the case too, right? What I'm saying is I love these type of slates where there's still a lot of ambiguity because, Spags, we could both be right that the Bills steamroll the Dolphins. But there's a multitude of ways in which they can do that. That's what I'm saying. Like, even if you take an Eagles team, I just mentioned this in my betting video, but I think it's an apt kind of way to look at this. The Eagles, if they want, can bury you on the ground with the legs of Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts as well. There are also times, and we saw it last season, I believe it was against Pittsburgh, when Jalen's like, is that what you guys wanted? Where they can go out there, if they want, they can torch you through the air as well. At least that was certainly the case with Kellen Moore at the helm last year. But there's a concentrated target share there, right? So if they do go through the air, you pretty much know that it's almost every time going to be at least one of A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith, especially, and Dallas Goedert get involved. But aside from that, okay, you have like a random Jahan Dotson reception or whatever. But still, with the Bills, they could torch you on the ground with, It could be James Cook, who's having he's the RB1 in fantasy right now. It could be Josh Allen. Ray Davis could get work. Ty Johnson could get worked in the passing game, or they could kill you through the air. But in doing so, it's Keon Coleman has 50, Shakir has 55, Kincaid has 35 and a touchdown. Dawson Knox has 3 for 30, and Josh Palmer has 3 for 40 as well. That's what I'm saying here is that there's a lot of different ways this could break, even if we're right that the Bills do put up a monster score.
I think those are all fair points. You said the most fun, like you're like the best showdown. You're like, this is the greatest. I have the most joy
for DFS. For DFS, not for no. I don't look at games. I don't look at games as this is a good game to watch. I look at it as, do I think this is a good game for like DFS purposes? So that is my fault. I should have clarified.
I'll accept that. I still would not lavish the highest praise even for a DFS slate, but I get where you're going with it. I agree with your takes on it. We found the middle ground, and that, Loughy, I think you know better than anybody. That's what we need in America right now. We just need to find the middle, right?
You know what, man? I don't know what's going to happen, but I agree with you. I agree with you. Big time. I like that. Nice little, see, this is why you're good at this, man. That was good.
That's the only reason why.
Hey, yeah, right. All right. Hey, if you guys don't mind, take a single second this beautiful morning, tap that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below. Let me know what are like if you're building lineups, you're using the single lineup sims, right? Over there on Stokastic, you'll see it in the sims as well. I already got everything pulled up. We're going to talk about our exposures and see what these lineups look like. Let me know down below how you plan on playing this. I think you absolutely have to be telling yourself a story here, right? Like you have to tell yourself a story on how this game plays out when you're building these lineups. If I'm building, let's say, a 5 lineups and a 5 max, maybe you could build them all similarly, but even if I'm building them all Bills onslaughts where the Bills go out and route them, I still want one of them to be like Allen and James Cook, and maybe even like a Cook and Ray Davis plus Bills defense or something. I don't want them all to be the exact same style of build, because the Bills, I know I said it once, Spags, but they can beat you in 5, 6, 7 different ways. And there's no clear concentrated target share here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I think that Allen and Cook I would put on a different tier, because those guys, you have really guaranteed roles, dominant roles. The issue is that you are paying more than full freight for both guys, with Josh Allen 12-4 on the slate on DraftKings, James Cook over 10 or 10K flat, I guess, on DraftKings for himself. But even just going through the numbers, like the red zone touches, Josh Allen gets 4.5 red zone opportunities a game, the 2 games we've had so far. James Cook gets 5.5, about 2 inside the 10-yard line. Great roles for those guys. Everybody else on the team, it's 1 red zone target average per game. So it's pretty evenly split, like you're talking about. And I agree that offers opportunity. It does mean as well, I feel like it would be tough for me to put a single entry on this slate. I want to have, different looks. You could swap, from Keon Coleman down to Josh Palmer in some lineups, get a different look that way. I think you want to play a 20 max, a 150 max if you can tonight, because this Bills offense is so separated and so, evenly keeled across the board in terms of target share. I mean, the red zone in particular, and was last year as well. That I think that for them, the amount of total that you have here for Buffalo, you just want to get different looks on how Buffalo's going to score those touchdowns.
That's how I see it too. Einsteinium, what's up, brother? Good to see you here. Mentioned in chat, Spags, that Ed Oliver and Matt Milano are out. A-Chain could be even more involved. Tua may have a clear pocket. Yeah, it's possible, honestly. Now, Ed Oliver missed last game as well, and Milano missed half of that game. So, I don't know. Do I think it makes a massive difference here? In all likelihood, no, I don't. Plus, Taron Johnson's expected to be back, which is a massive upgrade to this secondary. So where you lose one guy, you gain another one back. And they can still, this pass rush can still be pretty ferocious. I think, just looking at this team, it's very real possibility that even with those absences, and I'm not ignoring them at all, Tua has been sacked 8 times. He's been terrible under pressure. The offensive line can't pass block to begin with. It could be a long day in the passing game for them. Plus, Josh Allen's never lost to the Dolphins at home.
And of course, that means he never will. I think people know that from sample sizes.
Well, I don't think it's going to be tonight, but who knows?
Yeah, I would agree with that. But yeah, I'm also with you on that point too. And I think it's something I do mention sometimes in my content, but it stuck with me for my time running things behind the scenes of Football Outsiders. You work with Aaron Schatz, who's regarded as one of the godfathers of football analytics and all that. The guy who created DVOA. They would never change DVOA if a defensive player were out, even if a couple were out. Maybe if the QB was out, then you'd adjust the number a little bit to how you reflect the team perform. But there was no back-tested change really into team defense for one player being out, even of the highest tier, even your Aaron Donald, Myles Garrett tier, just wouldn't be adjusted. So something to keep in mind, because people always over-adjust and are like, whoa, Ed Oliver's so great. Oh, or like, Vita Vea, man, he's going to shut it down. It's like just one guy doesn't matter for the scheme of the defense and how it performs relative to average.
Yeah. Some guys do matter more than others, but your point stands. Like, you're not making massive, like Vita Vea or Jalen Carter being out is a lot different than like just some random dude being out.
Yeah, but even then on a data level, you wouldn't, the point is, like, to me, you wouldn't expect it to change on a data level and expectation level. And I think that's the part that people miss. Like, obviously the Vegas total can move a little bit if the guy is great, but then that all kind of comes together then in the picture you're looking at data wise.
Right. And even so, like with Parsons, I think it moved 1.5 points or something like that. But that's like the biggest line movement you will ever get for a defensive player being out, right? That's considered massive line movement for one individual player. So I think there was also just steam coming in on Philly, and Micah Parsons' absence was just kind of mixed into that as well. But anyway, let's get into it, man. You ready to talk a little football here?
Yeah, let's do it.
And again, if you guys don't mind the tone, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Appreciate you. It's free to do, and it goes a long way. We'll get north of 100 here because I trust you guys, and you're the best. All right, let's do it, man. I don't want to go position by position on this slate because I actually think that would be counterproductive. And the reason I say that is on a game like this, where you have a massive 11.5, 12.5 point spread, depending on where you're looking. They're going to bounce in between. They get the key numbers there, which neither of these are. I don't think going by position makes much sense. I think it just makes way more sense to talk about the type of builds we're looking to make. That's kind of the theme so far in the first 10 minutes that we've been live, is what type of story can we tell ourselves in these type of games? And I'll set the table for you a little bit, Spags, and pull up the lineups. You guys can see them on the screen. I'll tell you how to get the sims shortly if you'd like, and use them for today and going forward. But, you look at some of these and it's like Josh Allen, Dawson Knox, Devon Achane. Our tools do like him today. It makes sense. In all likelihood, they play from behind, and he's used a lot in the passing game, just from a PPR perspective. James Cook, Joshua Palmer, and Ty Johnson. Most people are going to look at a lineup like this and go, what the hell is that? But they're ignoring, not you guys, but a lot of people will ignore, that number one, most showdown lineups aren't going to win tournaments, right? It's very difficult to do that. But two, this is clearly telling a story. This is Bills dominate. They do so on the ground. It's a team that spreads the ball out. So paying additional money for Khalil Shakir and Keon Coleman, while it may work in other lineups, and we'll see some of those, in this one, it's saying, you know what? None of the pass catchers really dominate here. James Cook and Josh Allen do enough on the ground, punch it into the end zone, and Ty Johnson's used a little bit as well. These are the type of builds you have to at least consider on a day like this, because there's a multitude of ways it could play out.
Yeah, and I think too, the fact you're seeing the onslaughts up top with, Buffalo 5-1, then you also in the same sim lineups after that, and I actually have different lineups on top of mine, but also getting Miami 5-1s up top. I think it's sort of trying to get you to think more creatively right away, which is a good thing the sim will do for you if you go through the lineups and just try to get a read even before you put any in. Telling you a story right away of like, hey, you have to play a unique version of a Buffalo blowout or play the unexpected here that Miami somehow wins this game, which, boy, that's an uncomfortable one to see in the top five. It's
very uncomfortable. However, if you do build lineups like that, you will be unique.
Mm.
Just, I don't really see any two ways around it. I'm not saying nobody's going to have 5-1 Miamis. People use Sims tools. A lot of people use the Sims, and the field is a lot more advanced and sharper than it once was, particularly when Showdowns first came out. But the 5-1 Buffalo builds are going to be exponentially more popular than the Miami 5-1 builds. It's not the same stratosphere, Spags.
Yeah, the total, just people won't get there as much. And like you mentioned, the Sims tools, I think, do allow people to see through the looking glass a little bit more to get how often that can win. Because all it takes, there's a reason Vegas builds casinos. We always say that in general in gambling and DFS, and using the Vegas totals as sort of your foundational building blocks. But in reality, these games can flip sometimes. I don't think Miami wins, but nobody's going to think Miami wins. And that makes me uncomfortable. It's going to make the field uncomfortable as the sim kind of takes that bias out of the picture and gives you an actual look that Miami can win you a lot of money sometimes.
I mean, at the very least, we would. Yeah. And at the very least, I think that we would agree. You don't just want to be Xing out Miami stacks from your lineups today.
Yeah. Painful that may be. You may have the lead going in, but everybody who's playing tonight is going to feel a similar kind of way, besides the sharpest players who will always play the game theory and just going where the field's not going to be, especially in a slate like this.
I do find it fascinating, though, up top, at least when I ran these. I did run it with a 50,000 field. You can do it smaller if you're not playing these massive lotto ticket, lotto style contests. But a decent amount of Devon Achane captain, which does make sense. The Bills spread the ball around a lot. If you're in catch-up mode, Achane probably ends up being a primary opportunity getter here, especially given that the Bills secondary is no slouch. You have Achane, Bills. Check this one out, Spags. Give me your thoughts on this lineup. Achane, Bills D, James Cook, Matt Prater, Ty Johnson, and Tyreek Hill.
Feels like a blend of some different game scripts there, because Ty Johnson being in, to me, says they're in some third and longs, maybe playing from behind a little bit more, where you're getting less of the obvious James Cook pass down work. Bills D being in there too. I mean, I guess the randomness of Tua. I try not to critique showdown lineups too much, because especially a Stokastic one, you see people win with stuff and you're like, oh man, I would have thought that would have had no chance of hitting. I don't see the story for this one, so I'm curious if you see a narrative that I'm missing.
I think I see Bills run game dominates, defense creates some turnovers, and then Tua's in straight catch-up mode from the end. Now, you might ask, like, why is Tua not in this lineup? Yeah, I get that. But Tua also doesn't run. Devon, you know the tough part that I'm running into is if Miami manages to stay, I won't even say competitive. I'm going to say respectable, okay? Like if they can piece together a respectable performance, even through a half, the Bills, we would agree, weakness, and it's not even like a weakness in the sense of Carolina's run defense, right? Or presumably the Saints run defense this week against Seattle in Seattle, is their run defense. And we saw Derrick Henry gash them, right? He had 3 runs of 40 plus, some monster plays in that Sunday night football game in week 1. Devon Achane is not Derrick Henry, but if he's capable of finding some lanes, then that also could play towards this game script as well, where he gets enough done on the ground, but is also involved as a pass catcher where his overall fantasy production is not too tied to Tua Tagovailoa. I could see that as well.
Yeah, I'm with you on the Achane part. I mean, to me, well, it's hard to say this given the slate and, the fact we have Josh Allen on it, but I think Achane's, to me, like the most unfavorable part of the Dolphins at the very least, because of the fact he's been targeted so well. I mean, going back to last year, he had a 25% target route run rate, which was dead even with Tyreek Hill, dead even with Jonnu Smith as a lead targeters in that offense. Now, same thing here, 2 games in, Achane's at 27%, Tyreek's 25.5%. So like he's getting targeted as much as any of the receivers. He's also running more routes than the receivers. He's averaging 26 routes per game compared to 25.5 for Tyreek, 26 for Waddle. So like he's literally a receiver plus you get the rushing on top. So I think for Achane, PPR wise, I find it hard to believe he doesn't make a lineup, at least in the flex. He has the captain upside if the game script is in favor of Miami for sure. If the game script is against Miami, he's probably getting checkdowns. So I'm with you. Like I think Achane's the strongest play, and I would say substantially ahead to me of the other Dolphins that I think have shown a lot more floor than Achane has.
Yeah, I could not agree more. Jalen Wright's going to be back today. I don't know your thoughts on him. I was actually coming into the season drafting him in best ball in the super late rounds, like 160 or whatever. And so like I stopped drafting him after seeing the reports coming out of camp and in the preseason. And it's like, look, this guy's just falling behind, Ollie Gordon. At one point before Madison hurt his neck, Jalen Wright was falling behind Alexander Madison, who for all intents and purposes has been terrible ever since he got that starting gig in Minnesota and just fell flat out of the gate. Couldn't hold on to the football, super inefficient. That told me a lot right there. And I was like, you know what? I should probably pump the brakes on this a little bit and see if I can, diversify elsewhere. But then he gets hurt. Ollie Gordon starts getting some work, but he's not exactly a threat. I'm not sure. First of all, I don't even know if Jalen Wright's going to be active today. Like he's back, but he may just be a coach's decision inactive. I don't look at their backfield, even with him healthy now, and think that anything really affects Devon Achane. Do you see it that way, or do you see more nuance than that?
No, I agree. And I think you nailed it. I mean, Loughy's showing the paying attention throughout the summer, which many of your content creators don't do. They don't pay attention to the NFL and they miss those key news items. But that's a thing that's really important when you're tracking stuff year round to kind of hop in and take that news that we learned throughout the camp.
You know what I do, Spags? Yeah. You know what I do? I don't know what during the summer and the spring, the 32 Beat Writers account.
Oh yeah,
I think it's fantastic. I turn on notifications for it, and I don't have to be at my computer. I don't have to do anything. It just pops up on my phone. Is it a lot at times? Sure, but I never miss a thing. So I keep it pretty simple.
No, and I think honestly that's a big edge, and that's to me what makes people very good at doing NFL analysis versus people that kind of come in and just treat it like any other sport, do it seasonally. But I'm with you. Jalen Wright got lapped in the preseason, like basically was behind Alexander Madison. Apparently Madison looked really good in camp, so he would have been ahead of Ollie Gordon at least to start the year as well. The neck injury knocks him out. Ollie Gordon moves up the food chain. Jalen Wright, to me, the big thing, and it's kind of being disproved this year by Dylan Sampson with him adjusting a little bit better, maybe not so much in the actual rush game as in the pass game. Tennessee RBs don't tend to do as well in the shift to the pros because of the fact they're facing like 3-man, really light boxes. Tennessee's offense does some weird stuff to spread things out. I'm sure Matt Kajeski's talked about this a lot in the past as well with his intimate knowledge of college football. But basically for Tennessee, they run a video game offense and not even like we're trying to win competitive Madden tournaments where it still kind of resembles real life. They're playing like NFL blitz style where guys are all over the place, tons of motion, just gimmicky stuff. Jalen Wright could not adapt last year, and he was really poor as a result, inefficient in terms of EPA metrics, didn't really miss tackles either. So the juice that he has athletically was not really translating to to things that add value on the field. Now you have him coming in, and I agree. I'd have a hard time playing him tonight. I wouldn't be shocked if he's inactive as well, because I think Ollie Gordon actually has cemented himself as the RB2. I just think the RB2 role is kind of worthless unless Achane goes down. And if Achane goes down, it's probably not Ollie Gordon getting a 25% target rate. It's not the guy he is. So you can play those guys in a 150 set, even a 20 set if you want. But I think to me, it's Achane or bust there. Or if you're not playing him, you're kind of expecting Miami to crater, or the pass game, I guess, to do particularly well.
Yeah, well said. And I think that's a pretty good way to look at it, where there just isn't really a threat there to Achane outside of injury right now. You don't have a better shot of moving the football out of the backfield than Achane. Even last year, like Raheem Mostert wasn't bad. When Raheem, I have an affinity. That was last year, right? Raheem Mostert with Miami.
Yeah, he was still there.
Yeah. Now he's in Vegas, but he was. I have an affinity for Raheem Mostert. I think this is one of those guys who, when he's healthy, has always been like, he always got shit on because he was hurt a lot. And, you get hurt. What are you going to do? But when he was healthy, if you go back in like 2020 and 2021 and look at the fastest runs on next gen stats, they're all Raheem Mostert. No joke. Like, that dude was he's super elusive and fast, and no one really gave him any credit. I'm not saying last year he was great, but he was somebody that you could run out there when healthy and spell Devon Achane quite nicely, and in the red zone. They don't have that this year, and they don't have a mobile quarterback. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. Steven says, I miss playing Salmon Head for the Dolphins. Me too, brother. That was Salman Ahmed. That was old Salmon Head.
He got hurt. He got like season-long hurt this year. I forget whose roster he was on, but he got like a serious like spinal or something injury that knocked him out for the year. So sad for him, because he had a couple weeks of DFS usefulness, but the career probably done now for a guy like him.
What team? I remember seeing that report. That was early too. Like, that was one of the first injuries that we had in the offseason.
Is he on the Colts? Maybe a Colts depth chart guy?
Maybe it was the Colts or Titans. I don't know. Kevin, if you're playing roughly 25 lineups, how many Achane captains do you think is viable? Well, I favored 150 here. And believe it or not, 30% Devon Achane is a lot. Okay. And I'm not saying in a bad way that it's a lot. 10-8 is reasonable. Some of that though, and I'm not trying to like fence sit here, Kevin, but I do think some of that is what you're comfortable with. If you're trying to spread exposures out and give yourselves a lot of different outs among your 25 lineups, then, you keep it to like 20, 25%. If you're going all in and saying, I love Achane today and I want him at captain, you may want to overload, get well over the field on him. But I don't think there's a real right answer. If I end up with 30% Achane at captain today and 150 lineups, I'm okay with that though.
Yeah, it just comes down to how you want to play it. Do you want to be, hyper aggressive, be trying to play more of an expository style of play as opposed to the field? That's not the right word for it. There's another exploitative. That's it. God, jeez, my brain not functioning in the 10 o'clock hour as well as I'd like. The exploitative style of play would be you're going nuts on the ownership, nuts on the exposure over the top with it. If you love this player, if you want to play it closer to the vest where the field's going to be, field's projected for 15. So I'm with Loughy that 20 to 25 feels like enough. If you give me 33% for how I view Achane, I think that's probably enough for me personally.
We had another question here from Einsteinium. Would you consider playing Ray Davis and Ty Johnson together, Spags? And he's saying with no Cook.
It's tough, man, because Cook is really getting meaningful work these days. He's up to 20 intended touches a game, which is a decent leap upwards. He was like high teens last year, from remembering offhand. So I think for James Cook, and he's also been in more high leverage spots that it felt like last year, the red zone work would go to Ray Davis more. He was averaging 1 and change, close to 2 red zone opportunities a game. Now he's at 1 flat so far in this early part of the year. Kind of feels like he's been ramped down. He's only playing 15 snaps a game. Ty Johnson's still in for some of those real obvious 3rd and long kind of plays, but they've been giving James Cook a few more routes, it feels like, overall. And this could be kind of anecdotal. It is only 2 weeks, but I think James Cook solidified his role enough that I don't think Ray Davis and Ty Johnson get there unless something weird happens to James Cook in the game.
Yeah, it's tough. Even in a blowout, the question becomes, well, if they're getting additional work, who was the catalyst for the blowout? Who spurred the blowout? If it ends up being like last week, the 30-10 win, which could have been 50-10 if they kept their foot on the gas. James Cook had 21 attempts for 132 yards and 2 touchdowns, Spags, and still played less than 50% of the snaps. Played 56% of the snaps the previous week in that game against Baltimore. He's just good. So if he's not doing it, how else are you playing this? Like, if you're playing Ray Davis and Ty Johnson, what does the rest of the build look like? That's, I think, the question you have to ask yourself. And not playing James Cook. What is it? Is it a 5-1 with Josh Allen and a Khalil Shakir and a Dalton Kincaid plus Ty Johnson and Ray Davis to hope they clean up in garbage time, plus like a Devon Achane or something,
Yeah, Allen captain, I think somebody's saying in chat that would be logical to me too, where Allen takes rushing production away, some high value touches. The big thing for Cook that stands out is like part of his contract negotiation impasse was that he wanted more valuable touches because he feels like he's a McCaffrey level player, but he's not getting the workload to fit that. They're giving him the touches. They're just kind of keeping his snap count a little bit lower, like Loughy mentioned, than some lead backs are. So I think that's the part that I struggle with Cook, where I think they're just giving him the work now. Like his red zone role has been better by a pretty decent margin than it was last year. I tend to think that with Cook, but I would say if you're going to play the 2 RBs, Allen captain, Achane captain, Dolphins pass game captain, and the assumption is Cook probably still gets some yardage, but somehow loses the touchdowns, even though I don't think that's what would happen.
We had another question too. These are good questions. Keep them coming. This is a fun way to do the show today. Zane, what's up, Zane? Is it even possible for Waddle and Hill to be optimal without bringing Tua along? Feels thin, but it's showdown. I mean, no, I think your first thought was right. It seems difficult for those two guys to be optimal without Tua. And the reason for that is that Buffalo has such a massive implied total, and it's very likely that they're going to score a lot of points. Is it possible that you get some, a rogue rushing attempt from Waddle or Hill? Sure. They have a handful every season, right? Every season, one of these guys will get a couple. But you typically only were seeing that last year when Tua was hurt and Mike McDaniels was in sheer desperation mode, right? Like, Thompson wasn't the answer. I think he got hurt, and then they brought in Snoop Huntley, and that was just a disaster. So Hill would have a carry or Waddle would have a carry. I agree, Zane. It feels, and I don't know where Spags stands on this, feels tough for Tua being a largely stationary quarterback who isn't looking to move much, to be optimal or for Waddle and Hill to be optimal without bringing Tua along.
I think optimal in the flex, probably not one of them optimal at captain. I think if any of them are optimal at captain, they're going to have a better shot of dragging Tua along for it. But I think it's possible because it could just be like a PPR scam thing where they don't really get in the end zone, but they're moving the ball enough. Maybe 1 touchdown for one guy, or, I guess it even gets 2 touchdowns. I think it's possible. But the build, it comes down to the build like anything. And like you were talking about earlier.
Well, let's see. Let's see what happens if let's add Waddle to the filter, and we will do lineups. It contains Tyreek. Let's see how many we have with both of them. All right, so here you go. We have a decent amount. Tua, Hill, and Waddle. Tua, Hill, and Waddle. Tua, Hill, Waddle. Oh, wait, can I go with the third one and go does not contain Tua?
I believe you can, yeah.
Wouldn't that be nice?
I mean, that's one of the fun things to do with the lineup tool. I feel like on The Sims, is just go through and see what's working, what's not working. It's part of what I do. It's part of my process, especially for the main slates. But frankly, people should spend more time when you pay for the sim. I think the tendency is just to use the output and like get it out fast for when you're putting lineups in. But use it in advance. Like look through what the sim is telling you about the lineup pool, and you'll find some interesting insights pretty often.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is one of them. Okay, so 2 out of 150 lineups have Hill and Waddle without Tua. And Spags, this is what they look like. James Cook, captain. Devon Achane, Dolphins. How about that? This is a wild lineup. Devon Achane with Waddle and Hill. Ty Johnson, Dolphins defense, and James Cook without Tua. The other one is Achane, Bills, Waddle, Shakir, Ty Johnson, and Hill which seems to be a lot more in line with something that could actually happen. But those are the only two.
I'm surprised to not see Josh Allen there, but that's what the sim tool is for, to kind of, check your views on stuff a little bit more. But yeah, I guess a run game dominant captain with them. And then they're kind of scamming their way PPR wise in. I think half of that I felt at least was going to be the way it went.
Rant said I'll burn a lineup with Zach Wilson if Tua gets his bell rung. Yeah, you're on an island there, brother. I mean, even if Zach Wilson comes in, yeah. So first you need Tua to get hurt. Second, you need Tua to get hurt early in the game, Spags. And then third, you need Zach Wilson to not be terrible against this Bills defense. And fourth, you're still paying $6,000 for Zach Wilson.
And 50 has to score enough to make the lineup. So that's also right. Yeah, like you're asking a lot here. Like, with that situation, what is that? The classic Siege approach here, the famous DFS personality. The Siege back in the day would play the backup QBs. Sometimes on these slates, you are likely burning money. People often get too far projection anyway. Showdown, you get away with that more. But when you're doing stuff like that, unless you're a 150 maxer and you can afford to lose money every slate, you don't need to play Zach Wilson.
Fun question. This one's for you, Spags. From this guy. What's
this guy?
I'm not going to try. What's a Dolphins win the game lineup look like? I love this question because this is kind of the theme we're taking throughout the entire show.
I think for me personally, I think it would be Achane captain. He's breaking 50, 40-yard touchdowns like he's hitting it, because I don't think Miami could sustain long drives against this Buffalo defense. At least that's my read on it. So I go Achane captain, Josh Allen playing from behind, having to run a little bit. You could maybe leave him out of the lineup if you assume him failing as part of it. But I would say Josh Allen being a part of it would be there. I think James Cook less likely to get there in that kind of game script. So I'd probably go more pass catchers. Allen maybe getting a turnover, Dolphins D in the mix. But I think Achane captain would be how it all starts for me.
Do you guys want to see what some of these Miami 5-mans look like? I think that'd be a helpful thought experiment here.
I think it'd be helpful if they could all yell in parallel, so it sounded like we had a class of children that were excited to see the lineups.
I don't know why, but I just picture that in my head, from like kindergarten cop or something.
Yeah. Except it's a bunch of 30 to 40-year-old adult men just at their jobs yelling at a cubicle.
I don't know why, but it absolutely makes a lot of sense when you position it like that. I was trying to see if we could get trying to see if there was a good sound effect for that, but there isn't.
That's sad. You have all your disposal now too.
I mean, if everyone started doing that, it'd be concerning. All right, so let's see. Dolphins 5-mans. Bags. Can you see these on the screen? Because they are interesting.
Malik Washington. All right, that's another way. That's another way to tackle that.
I mean, some of these are wild, but wild lineups sometimes win. We had a question earlier too that was like, why do, in the post contest sims, why do the winning lineups often sim out negative? There's a really easy answer for that. It's multifaceted, but the one answer oftentimes is if you have, I remember one showdown slate earlier this year, if you have like 100-way chop, with a massively chalky lineup, those just typically aren't going to sim out well, where it's duped, 100 times. Because the likelihood that they win is still low compared to, compared to other lineups, it's higher, but still it's like well under 1% chance that they win. So that's one. And then also, Spags, a lot of lineups that just aren't great are going to win tournaments. And that's kind of the fallacy that you have to avoid, is just looking at what a lineup does and wins doesn't mean you should be trying to replicate that build the following week. It doesn't really mean that long-term that's a successful approach, even if it's a one-off winner.
Yeah, sometimes for the main slates, you'll find it's just people building a large parlay with the lineup. They're not doing stacking and correlation. But most lineups that are a top 1% lineup are going to have stacking and correlation, are going to have bringbacks, are going to have those little things built in. Showdown, same principle here. And it also reflects, the Sims are mostly a reflection of that median projection set and then outliers within that. So it's still going to operate mostly off the expectation of the games. And sometimes, median projections, a lot of things that are up high that are highly owned end up on the lower half of projection. But it's a thing that Osmo said many years ago, which I think is an important thing people forget. Projections are going to be right. They're going to be higher half the time and be lower half the time. It's just the median guess. So if you get a bunch of things that are towards the lower half, that sometimes makes a slate look different than it would be in a data set.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Here's a time where you're going to give us some great analysis on some of these individual players. I wanted to get these kind of game scripts out of the way because I find it to be very important. Also want to let you guys know, if you want the tools, man, it was Tuesday when Ben and I were talking that like 80 you jumped in the chat and were like, yeah, I signed up with Chalkboard, or I signed up with BetMGM or Caesars, and I ended up, getting 3 free months of the Sims, which it makes me very happy to see, because everyone should take advantage of this if you want to use the tools. The single lineup sim, which Spags and I will build a lineup out in a second. The contest generator, the Sims, the post-contest Sims, right? The late swap tool, ownership, player projections, the boom bust tool, and the top player single to game and showdown tools, top stacks. We have everything. If you want to get access to the full suite of NFL tools or any sport, all you have to do is click that link in the description. The one that says join any sportsbook gets the Stokastic Sims free. Just sign up on any of these by clicking claim offer. That's the one thing you have to do. You have to click claim offer or we can't track it. Then sign up, deposit. Usually it's a 5 or 10 minimum deposit. Place a bet or make a lineup if it's a pick'em site. The moment that settles, you can do it whenever you want. If you want to do it a week from now, fine, but you probably want to get the tools. Take a screenshot of your first settled bet or lineup and take a screenshot of your welcome email and just email us at support@stokastic.com. You may be like, man, that's a lot of steps, but it's not. It's a few minutes of a process. You sign up, you just place a bet, and then you take screenshots, email us, say, hey, can I get the Sims for NFL? And if you sign up for 4 of these, let's just say 4, you're probably making probably like $30 in total deposits. That's 4 free months of the Sims, and you can mix and match any sports you want. So just a true, legitimate, no-brainer way to take advantage of it. Plus, you're getting bonus bets and deposit matches on the books, and you might win your bets and truly free roll through all of this. So cannot state an easier way to get these tools. All right. Can you break down the Bills pass catchers for me and for us? Because I think a lot of people are probably sitting here going, how the hell do we try and sift through all of this, pour over all the data, and figure out which of these guys who are all very similar we should be targeting heavily and which ones we should have less of tonight?
Yeah, and I think the Bills are kind of a tough team, because even going back to last year, it's a pretty flat, target share overall. But so far, you have Keon Coleman leading the way, 22.6% target per out run, 2.2 yards per out run, getting 7 targets a game. We saw him have the big outlier in week 1, not quite as good in week 2, but they didn't really need him to be that good. So that's sort of the thing there. I think he's your highest upside option. I think if one of these guys hits as a captain, I would say it's probably going to be Keon Coleman. But what we've seen so far, he also has a different skill set than Shakir, different route tree than Shakir, a little bit more similar to Josh Palmer than I would have thought. But big thing with Keon Coleman is, as you guys have seen when he plays, he's a go up and get it kind of guy. So I think he's the one with the most touchdown equity overall. Makes a lot of sense to me to kind of lead off with Keon Coleman being your primary target. Khalil Shakir, coming off the high ankle sprain, I think is a little bit less of appealing play based on what he's shown so far. He's only had a 19% target per out run rate, which is the lowest of the large group up top of Keon Coleman, of Josh Palmer, of Dalton Kincaid as well. So Shakir, the route tree hasn't been as good. He's been also really bad versus man defense so far because he can't really get open. So I think Shakir, if you're targeting him being better, him being also a guy that's probably showed the least, but still projects well based on the longer term sample size, that's Stokastic. I think Shakir stands out a little bit more on that front. Josh Palmer intrigues me. I think he could take shots at him at captain. Projection's not very good, though. Stokastic has him as an 8.5 projection compared to about 11 for Shakir and Coleman. But I think Palmer, to me, comes off as low owned. He's getting targeted downfield, 14.3 air yards per target, 6 targets a game for him as well, which has been a slightly better workload than Shakir. So I'm intrigued by Josh Palmer, and Kincaid is the one I think people know the name of the most. He's a good tight end, but on a slate like this, he's flattened out the pass catchers, but he's still 5,400 on this slate. Decent projection at about 8 fantasy points. So never mind. Not that much better, pretty much flat with Josh Palmer. Kincaid, I'm not crazy about, but people like him. He certainly has some equity. But I think Loughy, that covers all the assholes you play. Dawson Knox, too, is a player you can play, but I don't really want to.
Well, okay, then do this for me, and I'm going to screen share our Buffalo exposure here in the flex and captain. Mm-hmm. If you had to rank them, how would you do it?
I would say for me, Keon 1, Palmer 2, Shakir 3, Kincaid 4, Knox and Elijah Moore down, but they could get in the lineups.
Interesting. Okay. Kincaid's the type of guy that can just bury us with a touchdown today, and that would suck. But yes. Yeah, we're very, very. I mean, okay, so Khalil Shakir, and this is just one run of the Sims. This could look way different on your Sims run as well, because I think these guys are very similar. Shakir, we have 25% in the flex. We have Palmer 17%, Coleman 15%, Kincaid 11%, Elijah Moore 7%. You look at it on this side, you've got wait, hold on, let me go to exposure here. Allen at 50%, but let me get the pass catchers here. Shakir 25. Is this captain? Hold on. It is. Wow, look how much captain we have Josh Allen. I was wondering why we didn't have as much at flex.
That's a lot of, that's more than I got, I think. Let me see. Yeah, I got 22% on Josh Allen with 35% to first, but that could be the difference.
Wow. All right, hold on. Let me clear these filters, make sure this is right. Nope, that's what I thought. Okay, it was okay. Josh Allen 50% at flex, 20% at captain. Now,
okay, that's close to what I got done. Yeah,
makes a lot more sense now. It's like that can't be right. At captain for Buffalo, pass catcher Shakir at 4%. We're not getting a lot of these pass catchers at captain. I don't really disagree with that entirely either.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, definitely projection wise, you're talking about Cook being 6 points higher than the pass catchers. Josh Allen's literally double the projection of the pass catchers. Achan's about 2x the pass catchers. Even Tyreek and Waddle, 5 points, 2 points more than the highest projected Buffalo guys. So I think playing Buffalo pass catchers, it's not as good of a projection play, but it'll make you a little more tournament friendly.
Tyler says, Loughy, will you be posting any bets on tails for tonight's game?
No.
Oh. No. Yeah, of course I will. That'd be great if it's just like, nope, nothing. But yes, and I just recorded the betting video out on the OddsShopper channel. I told everybody there, I threw a parlay out there, and I'm going straight. Like, I'm playing it very similar to DFS today. I want to build some same game parlays, and I'm posting them to tails. One I posted over there on the channel. I'm posting 2 of them to tails immediately after this show is over. There is you have a double 30% profit boost on Bet365. We have a 50% profit boost on FanDuel. We have a 50% profit boost on DraftKings. So monster profit, like if you don't take advantage of them, it's non-negotiable. You should be betting them every time. Even if you're blindly betting them, you should be. So what I'm doing is we're going to tell some stories, right? We're going to tell some stories, and then we're going to bet some same game parlays like that. And we're going to use those boosts to essentially, what we're going to do is we're going to try and negate some of that correlation tax. So if you guys aren't there yet, see the link in the description, right? Where it says follow Loughy on tails, follow Spags on tails. Click that, create a free account. Literally takes seconds. Oh, and we're doing a perfect lineup video for the Showdown site. Josh and I'll also be posting some lineups from the single lineup Sims on tails, and a bunch of DFS content we're going to have popping up there as well, Greg included. But if you haven't done so, man, go over there, follow us. You got Greg, Spags, you got Ben, Eric, all of these, and all of these picks are free, right? All of these picks are free. So you can go in, search an expert right there. It'll take you there. But yeah, I'm going to have some same game parlays and some really fun stuff for tonight's slate. We're going to sweat some massive long shots together. So all you have to do is go in on my name. You'll see it. And then just click follow, right? And then if you want, after clicking follow, you can turn on notifications. But come join us. Have some fun tonight. We're going to have a blast betting some Thursday night football. And hey, if our DFS lineups lose, maybe we'll hit a banger in the showdown or in the same game parlay street, Spags. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, Keon Coleman anytime touchdown looking plus 200 here. You're getting some real juiced odds on some of the pick'em sites that I won't name, but I like Keon Coleman plus 200. I think he scores.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm going to try and tell some stories with these. When I'm getting 50% boost, we can kind of do whatever the hell we want with it. All right. Miami wide receivers is kind of simple. Like, I'm going to have some Hill. Waddle is expected to play. The guy's always banged up at this point, so what's it even matter at this point? But looking at exposures, pretty similar there in the flex to these guys. Hill, we're still getting 9% at captain. I'm okay with that. Much less Waddle, much less Malik Washington. Washington was a guy I came into the season thinking I want more of this guy than Nick Westbrook-Akina. Westbrook-Akina felt like a real flash in the pan last year. But do you see any specific way to play these guys today would be the question? Or are we just kind of saying, hey, we'll get some Hill, get some Waddle, and get a little Malik Washington and call it a day?
That's sort of how I view it for the most part. I mean, I'm not crazy about Miami's players. Tyreek's usage is getting a lot better. He's now up to averaging 3 deep shots a game, 20-plus air yards throws. For comparison, Waddle's at 1, Washington's at 0.5. So we're looking at least some resemblance to old Tyreek roles. I think that's a positive for him. To me, he's the alpha guy. But I think basically what you said it is I would just try to get the most Tyreek, second most Waddle, and then get Malik Washington as sort of your value guy, 3K-ish price. Probably his best shot is scoring 1 touchdown, but he's been out running 23.5 routes per game, so about 2 less per game than Waddle and Hill. I think he's the obvious number 3 to me, but definitely you want to put him behind Waddle and Tyreek.
Did you see what Tua was saying after the one game where he's like, these guys, and by the way, appreciate you guys getting us well over 100 likes here on the live show. Thank you. Did you see Tua basically saying he wants these guys to start also like not just trying to be deep threats? Like, he's saying he was essentially talking like, look, you can't just sprint. You can't sprint go routes every time. Like, we need to be doing more than that.
I didn't see the quote, but it checks out. I mean, these guys also have incredibly low yards after catch. Tyreek at 1.5, Waddle at 2.2, Malik Washington at 11.3. So I think if you want to read into Loughy's take there, I think maybe give Malik Washington a boost because he's the one that's actually like having to do some catch and run stuff. And he was really great at it as well in college. He was a great target earner and also was very good after the catch, Virginia. But I think for Tyreek, I think Tyreek just wants it to be easy. Like, and he used to have to do a lot more work to, get the volume he did. And now it's just like, it seems like there's chucking to him. Yeah.
That could not be more truthful at all. Is 30 yards considered deep? Asks Ron. Yeah, technically, if you're talking deep passes, it's 20 plus yards downfield is what classifies a deep ball. Would you go to has a tight end? Hold on a second. Has a tight end seen a target yet for Miami this year? Oh yeah. Okay. Tanner Conner had 4 targets in week 1. Has Julian Hill gotten anything? No.
No, not a target. He had like a 2-point conversion, I believe, but I don't think he had an actual in-game target.
And Darren Waller's out for the 3rd straight week. He's still not back.
He's getting closer. He was
whatever that means. I mean, would you consider this tight end spot feels so gross for Miami?
I mean, Tanner Conner, $800. He has gotten one He has gotten 1 red zone target this year, which was inside the 10-yard line. So I think for Tanner Conner, I could take shots there. And Julian Hill's still playing, 28.5 snaps per game. So like he's playing. You can play these guys. They're not projections darlings, I would say.
Let's see here. What a question. Would you play Ty Johnson at captain? Do we have any? Yeah, 3% around. Around 3%. By the way, we had a Stokastic sub take down the showdown last week, 60K Spags. I would like that.
Yeah, that's a brave take to have. Yeah, I too would like that. That matches my biggest win in DFS. So yeah, that's a nice number to have and makes you feel like you accomplished something. But I will say, not having a 6-figure win is also like a pain point. Like the fact you couldn't chop, like you had one less person chop, and then you get to be closer to that.
Yeah, dude, you can miss me with that one. If
I don't want this $99,000 $999
yeah,
win.
take it back. Yeah, take it back. Mike Campbell, Dave Loughran, thanks, Captain Obvious. I don't know what you're referring to on that one. What did I say?
I think he means Captain Obvious, I guess, but I don't know what you said that makes.
I know what he means, but what am I Captain Obviousing? Oh, I would like that. Yeah, that was the point of the remark, Mike. Come on, man, don't make me explain it to you, pal. Okay, I think we know what we're doing with Josh Allen right now. I know how I want to try and get some weird, like unbalanced spots that make sense from a correlation standpoint. Maybe, double Bills running back, onslaught Bills with Bills D without the pass catchers and having the running backs and Josh Allen. I will get some Miami 5-1s, trying to go over everything here. Any other players we haven't touched on that you think are worthy of conversation? And the last thing I'll say before turning it over to you, Spags, this is one of those very unique slates where, yes, you have some high-priced players, Allen, Achane, Cook, Hill, you can throw into the mix. Tua is over 9K. But you also have an insane amount in this range of like $3,000 to $7,000 or $6,000, where all of them could just have that 7-target game and then next week go back to having 2 targets.
Yeah, and I think that's a totally fair way to look at it. I feel like we haven't talked about kickers at all, and maybe that's the one spot.
Yeah, right.
Like, you have so many options to go to, and I do think my brain is like, play Josh Palmer. He's cheaper than Matt Prater. Play Malik Washington. He's cheaper than Matt Prater. But Matt Prater at 5K does project to have 38% ownership overall, about 3% at captain. I think he's one guy that seems like he projects well enough to come into a lot of lineups. And if Stokastic thinks based on the ownership, he'll be the 6th most popular player on the slate. So Matt Prater probably deserves more of a look, but my initial instinct would definitely be to play pass catchers over him if he's going to be, in about 2 out of 5 lineups based on the ownership so far. Riley Patterson as well on Miami side. Hard to believe Miami gets into range enough for him to matter. But maybe they move the ball a little bit, connect on one deep play, and then Patterson can kick some long field goals. I think is a possibility. So don't sleep on the kickers. It just seems like it's not as much of a, you got to cram in kickers everywhere slate like sometimes they are.
What about Miami's defense?
I mean, Josh Allen can make some turnovers, and we did see the Dolphins coming up in some of those top ROI lineups. So, look, they're pretty bad. They, in my opinion, grade out as one of the worst defenses in football so far, giving up a 0.5 EPA per drop back, 0.6 EPA per pass. So they're actually worse, just quarterback standing in the pocket than quarterback who might move around a little bit. I don't love them, but sometimes when you see numbers being that bad, they're just due for positive regression. I think would be the case. And Josh Allen can turn it over, we know.
I agree. Let's build a single lineup here. Let's build a lineup with the beautiful and updated single lineup sim where you can adjust the randomness, where you can complete the lineup and optimize it after putting a few of your guys in, where I could say, all right, I want this in the 50K huddle. This is my 50K huddle single lineup entry. Boom. And then once it saves, you can go and use the entry manager and cross-manage it with the actual sims where you might be using it for 150 or 20 lineups, add all of your lineups straight into the entry manager, and no more copy-paste, none of that, nothing. It is a 2-click process, throw it right into DraftKings. So I'm telling you guys right now, this tool you will love this tool. It's fantastic. And again, you want to try it for free. That first link down there, sign up with any of our sportsbook partners, and it is free for as many months as you can get based on these offers right here. So you can literally free roll the entirety of the NFL season with all of these tools. Have you not done it yet? And if not, why? All right. I'm going to go large field, 25% to first Spags. I'm plugging Devon Achane in a captain. That's actually going to be the first move because I like that play this week. or tonight.
Are we deliberately building on FanDuel because we don't service those people enough?
Oh, no, we're not. I guess it auto FanDuel.
They're pretty similar
Sorry,
now,
FanDuel
so like
people.
good, but yeah.
I apologize for you guys getting excited there.
The FanDuel people are dying for more content, but unfortunately, I don't know.
They always get upset, but it's like the show would not flow well. Plus, we have such easy access to get these tools for free that you really can just go in and build FanDuel lineups without doing anything. So 50K huddle. Okay, on DraftKings. I'm going to throw HN. Good catch there, Spags. I'm going to throw him in at captain, and you're up.
I'll do the chalk move here. I'll take Josh Allen next. Just hard for me to imagine him not making a lineup with the role he has, and certainly projection-wise. You're going to be ignoring projections if you don't play Josh Allen today.
Yep. All right. I'm going to go Cook, and then we're going to get weird. We're going to have to because we're going to have very little remaining salary.
Okay. I'll go for Josh Palmer here. So we're going to have to get even weirder down the chain, but I'd like Josh Palmer punching in a touchdown potentially today. And if it's not Keon Coleman, save some money, go to Josh Palmer.
I'm going Ty Johnson.
Okay.
That gets us, we have 4,400. I'm going to toggle on show affordable players only. Okay. This is actually not that bad. You have Riley Patterson, Elijah Moore, Malik Washington. This is not a dead range today.
No, there's actually maybe too much to choose from, you could say. We're not going to go Ray Davis. We've already got enough of the running back room cornered. I mean, I think Malik Washington, we're leaving some money on the table here. It sucks that Patterson is less owned because it feels like that is not making us as unique as it could to go Malik Washington, but I'll go Washington and see what we get. The
reason I think this is actually more unique is because Patterson would fully zero this lineup out.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I never really want to play 50K lineups unless the sim tells me like, oh, you should. It never really comes up that often, to be honest.
Exactly. Let's see. Maybe there we go. All right. Okay. So good enough lineup there. What happens if we keep Cook? I'm going to lock Cook, Allen, and HN. I'm going to set this at 10% randomness and see what the sims give us when we complete the lineup. Okay, so it gave us
our guys back. That's Matt Prater.
Right. Let's see what happens.
So we built a pretty projection-minded lineup then.
It sounds like it.
Yeah, good for us. On the back.
There we go, 89%. Okay, and you guys can play around with this. You can lock players, unlock them, use randomness, complete the lineups themselves, however you want to do it. Or, if you didn't want to use the sports books to sign up, you can always just sign up directly to grab the tools and, have some fun, man. Win some money. Spags, appreciate you as always, man. What you got going on for the rest of the day and throughout the season? Where can they find you?
Check out my YouTube channel at SplashPlayPod. You can also check it out on Twitter, same handle at SplashPlayPod. But basically Mondays, Thursdays, Fridays, I'm doing all the slates, the showdowns, the main slate. Sunday mornings, I do it as well before my live before lock stint. So if you want to see me talk more about the stuff, show you some products around the industry in addition to Stokastic, go check me out today at 12 p.m. Eastern. I'll be going live there doing some more on this slate. Now Loughy's prepared me. Now I can actually do the content on my own channel.
Solid. And you can find all of these bets, everything over at Tails. We're going to be doing a lot over there, guys. We're building a new product, an awesome product. I think you're going to love it. We're going to have DFS incorporated, but it's a lot of sports betting, a lot of free bets. And all you need to do is sign up for free. So hit us up. We're going to sweat some same game parlays on Thursday. Maybe we'll get one, Spags. Maybe we won't. We'll see you guys back here.
Just follow
the next one. What's that?
Keon Coleman, follow him to the promised land.
Let's do it. I'm on board. I like that fella. Bye-bye.